Oh, hey, sorry. Just was typing. Forgot I clicked. So if you welcome in, sorry to be typing. Um, if you know either Granny D or Lydia, both of them have had some health issues going on, specifically with their legs. I don't know what's going on with legs these days, but they're going out left and right. Granny D was in the hospital. I'm not going to tell the whole story because I know as much as other people have told me, and I find that the more people tell, the less accurate things get. So if you want to know, you can check out Granny D's channel. You can also send her money through, I think she has Cashapp and PayPal. All of that is on Granny D's channel. And then Lydia fell, I believe it was a pothole, and really hurt her knee really badly. So if you could just send some positive loves. I believe that's Yarnworks and Crafts with Lydia. But yeah, she's having a hard time of it now too. And so I just want uh, I just want to send some support and love out to folks. If you're admiring my shirt, unfortunately, I don't remember the name of the company. It like just popped up on my Facebook feed like a million years ago, and I've had this shirt for a long time, for a couple years, because I mean, like, it's perfect. Like this is a perfect shirt, right? Like it doesn't get any better than this. I didn't think about it like when I put it on. I wasn't like, hey, it's Black History Month, so I'm gonna wear my black supporting Black people shirt. But like that's not what's going on. I just wear the shirt all the time, and I just happen to be wearing it. It happens to be Black History Month, so happy Black History Month. I haven't said that yet, and it feels very weird, but time is very wiggly to me. Especially when you're disabled, you're like, time. What is time? So I still have this trash bag of a market bag that I was gonna make. We'll get to that eventually. If you saw my video about like failures or something like that, you will have seen why this is not the bag of my dreams. But anywho, um, I just I'm here, I'm queer, I'm going nowhere, and we're going to work on the skeleton thing that I'm working on, my rib cage. So I think I'm mostly done with that. I might need to attach more stuff, but this is like the first part of what I've done, and I haven't tried it on because I can't really like see myself and like work on it. Okay, pull the back down. It's just really hard when you're large chested like myself. If you don't pull back down, then it all gets really weird and extra lumpy. Okay, so I have sewn some pink guts into the inside, and I need to felt them so they look a little bit more like guts and a little less like just like yarn. But also, like, it hits a weird place on me because I don't wear bras because bras remind me that I have this thing to deal with. But the person who is wearing this will be wearing a bra, so their boobs will be higher. Um, Binders tend to push everything down long term, so I think that looks okay. Again, I do feel like it needs to be felted. I wanted to give some different like dimension here, and then my customer wants something where like, okay, so I'm gonna try to pull this out. It's been like just like progressively getting more and more ratty the more I like deal with it, so I might like respin it. But like she wants something kind of like where it's twisted up. I think I'm gonna split it and twist it so it's like longer, where she can like hold the guts like this and it'll be attached to the ribs. here, and then like she can hold the guts like in her hand. But I think if I cut it in half and um, and make it twice as long, then she can have some like hanging over. But I need to practice some felting techniques. Now, I've never felted before. I know I could buy stuff to felt, but I'm just gonna fucking make some shit up and hope it works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab a sponge, I'm gonna wet it, and then we're gonna start from there. So I'll be right back. So I just wet a regular kitchen sponge. It's literally nothing fancy. And then what I'm gonna do, so I've seen some things where they're like, if you just get a needle, any needle, you can do felting. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right in my head, but okay. So I'm going to take this, and I've been doing a lot of like, twisting the yarn to make it um, look more gutsy, but I know that there are like specific needles made for felting that kind of have like a little spur on the end that will grab some like maybe like a lace weight needle would actually be better. I don't know. So I'm just gonna try poking it a lot with a needle and see if that works. And if not, we'll switch over to the crochet hook. I feel like this is gonna take a long ass time. Okay, so let's see if we've done any progress in felting. I really can't tell. The beginning was so good, and the more you work with this stuff, the worse it gets. This doesn't, I get it, I gotta try a hook. I gotta try a hook. So I have my travel hooks that were my first hooks that I ever bought. And it's actually a pretty good set because it was really cheap. I think it was probably like $12 at the time. It goes up to a 6 millimeter, which my larger hooks are in my case. But these are all lace weight hooks. I've never used any of them, which is, I know, very surprising. So I'm going to use maybe the smallest one, maybe the second smallest one. So that's a 0.9. This is a 0.95. So I'll just use the 0.9. But yeah, so you can obviously you can see it's got a tapered hook, but it's very, very, very small. And then I'm gonna try, okay, so that's like pulling up the yarn. So I don't know if that's what I want. But I'm trying to like get in there and then just like jam it all around and pull stuff together and see if that works. Okay, so that kind of worked, but it kind of also made it like a little weird. So let me keep trying. I'll bend you down so you can see a little bit. I don't know how I can show you well, but also my desk is very dirty, so please hold your judgment for someone who gives a shit. No, I'm just kidding. Just don't judge me. So I'm like kind of putting it in one spot and then just picking it up, wiggling around, putting it in another spot, wiggling around. This sponge has like a regular sponge side, and then it has like a Brillo side. I'm not using the Brillo side. Let's see, does that... It's kind of felted. Let me compare that to the needle and see how that works. Obviously, I don't want to stab myself. I am using a thick darning needle rather than like a sewing needle, like a hand sewing needle, because I feel like this has potential to get it done faster, but I feel like I need, like, I don't know. Okay, so they're both really not doing great. So I think I'm gonna go to, at least I feel like I'm doing more with this, with the hook. But I am getting it stuck inside the sponge. I think I should maybe also have wet the yarn, but I don't know. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm making it up. I could have looked up a video on this. I'm gonna wet the yarn a little bit. So this yarn has been spun, and then it's got like fuzzies around it. So I am just like trying to. Okay, so what this hook is doing, okay, I can't use the hook. What the hook is doing is it's pulling up chunks of the sponge and pulling them through the yarn. So I wonder if I can just like, can I like do this without the sponge? No, this doesn't feel right. This all feels wrong. Okay, so I actually kind of like that, just doing it by like hand, like lifting it up and like pressing all around in it. So that's gonna give me like the vibeiest thing I've seen so far. So I'm just gonna continue to kind of like hold down with my fingers and come in and just shake the shit out of the hook, you know? So this is like making the best out of a situation, I think. I don't think if I went down like 0.5 millimeters, if it would be any different. 0.05 millimeters, I should say. So I'm just kind of coming at it from different directions and trying to get those like spins that I have to be a lot more like unspun wool. I was originally gonna Jesus. Oh my gosh. This is the only yarn that I got from the scrap exchange that I did not wash because I did not know how to wash it. I think it would be cool to try to wash it and see if that actually helped felt it a little bit, like if I got it wet. And then like I just kind of like rubbed it in my hands like that. Oh, that's what's that's cool. Okay, yep, we're doing that. Fuck this noise. So sneezy. Yeah, this yarn is definitely a little it's like it was in a bag, so I felt like good about not washing it because I felt like it hadn't been exposed to a lot of the elements, like a closed bag. But I think just anything that sits around a little bit can get a little musty. Yeah, I'm liking this. So I'm just wetting it with the sponge, actually. And then I'm just like rubbing it in between my hands. And that's giving a really, really good look, which I'm feeling. Also, I'm very congested. So you might be wondering why I titled this video the Kobayashi Maru of sleep cycles, sleep schedules, or whatever I did. So for those of you who don't know, the Kobayashi Maru is a reference to a test that that is in Star Trek. Is from the Star Trek universe, and basically, this is one of the things that that I mean, depending on where you follow the universe, is kind of dependent on how you view this test. But basically, it's a test that's supposed to that captains and people in the ship have to go through to to uh, to kind of prove their merit in the Starfleet, right? And so it's basically an unwinnable test. And I believe that the overall lore surrounding it is that Tim Kirk was the first person to ever win. And did I say Tim Kirk? I mixed James, Jim, and Tiberius all together. So, what are you doing? Yeah, so my sleep schedule has been all over the place. I'm in a no-win sleep place right now, which is why the title is what it is. But basically, it's a no-win, right? So I was up for about 36 hours, and then I slept most of the day. I probably slept close to 12 hours today. And then now I can't sleep again because I woke up at 11 p.m. or so, maybe 10. I don't know. It was late. Late enough where I was like, oh, I fucked things up. Um, so yeah, I do have trouble sleeping more times than not, but this is particularly bad um, because sleep is very important to everyone, obviously. But it's very ultra super important to people who are bipolar like me, and so when you can't sleep, you start to your brain just doesn't function the way it needs to anymore, and you can get to a really 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 bad place with bipolar. I'm really liking this like hand rolled method. It's like felting way better. Honestly, like I don't know why I tried anything else. This works so well. So yeah, I'm just wetting bits of felt, not felt, wetting bits of wool. Um, if you see that link there, that is the link for the actual fundraiser that I'm doing. That will be March 16th. So if you want to click that and have it remind you, I think 30 minutes before the actual fundraiser starts, that would be cool because we can all hang out. You can donate if if you have that ability, and if you don't, then no problem. We'll just hang out and do other stuff, right? it's all part of the joy of learning the process, if you will. So, but yeah, so I'm thinking I'm gonna try to stay awake all night, and then because like none of my sleep meds have been working, and I've been taking a like different sleep meds different nights. I'm not combining. Like I'm taking everything that's like, you know, a reasonable amount. I'm not like just like doing like a cocktail. Nice, you have it set to notify you. Perfect. Exactly. That's exactly what that Nightbot is for. Um, so, uh, so yeah, I'm gonna try to stay awake because none of my sleep meds are working. The new one that they prescribed me, my doctor prescribed me, needed prior auth, which if you don't know or don't have to deal with, it's when an insurance company says like, hey, like we just need to like review this prescription that you've written before you can just go fill it because we think that there are other viable options. Um, so I don't know if it's so much the sleep medicine that's not working or if it's my brain that's not working. Okay, yeah, I imagine that's even more of a clusterfuck. Anything involving government tends to be. So, this looks really cool. I'm super happy with this. It's like, I'll show you my progress once I finish this tube. Um, but basically, um, so just so you can see what it looks like. So these are the guts of the thing. And so you can see on this side where I've done some hand bowling and it looks more like intestines. And then you can see where it's stopped on this one. And you can see right here that it's looser. And I had hoped just twirling it would be enough. But as we can see, the further we go along with it, the worse it kind of looks. So I really want to make sure that we kind of get some cool vibes off of this, and then I'm gonna use this technique on the other part of the yarn that I have. Yeah, sleep hygiene. Yeah, I mean it is very important. It's very important to your mental and physical health. For me, it can be hard when I'm either going into an episode or coming out of an episode to re-regulate my sleep. So, thanks. Yeah, I hope she likes it. I hope it fits, honestly. And like, she's not like a big person, um, so it's not so much that. But like, I'm afraid that it's like a little, like with stuff like this, it's like it's nice if you can like fit it, make sure it's fitted onto you, so you like try it and whatnot. But like, she was like, I'm weird about trying stuff on, and I was like, you literally want to wear this for like your book cover. Okay, that's weird that you're like you aren't willing to try it on, but like I'm at a stage where I could actually fix something if it didn't fit right, if it was too loose in one spot or something like that. But okay, whatever. So so yeah, I'm just I tried to use uh a darning needle, and then I tried to use a really tiny lace weight crochet hook. I did start initially while doing it on the sponge, but when I used the crochet hook, it actually pulled up chunks of the sponge, and then uh, the needle I just didn't feel like was doing that much. So then I was like, let me just try to rub it in my hands and see if that makes a difference. Like wet it and rub it, because I was like, maybe if I wash it and like rub it, then it'll be better. And so I just wet it a little bit, and it looks a lot better, I think. So I'm just taking the sponge and like wetting some of the spots to hopefully help make them easier to kind of felt. Now this is not unspun. It is spun, but it is very fuzzy. So yeah. But yeah, when I'm going into or coming out of a cycle, it is very, very hard for me to get my sleep hygiene back. It's very, very important, as we all know, as we've all been told, but people who are bipolar who don't maintain their sleep hygiene go. So I don't have a felting needle, and I don't want to buy one just for this. So I heard that you could use like just a needle. I didn't believe it because a felting needle has that little barb on it, but I was like, I'm not buying one just for this, and I just want to get this done. So I'm not buying a felting needle. And then I don't have any felting supplies. So this is gonna be good enough. that's that's how I feel. I mean, I think it's looking pretty cool, just like this with the hands. So I'm like, if I couldn't figure out a way to do it, then I would do that, but I don't feel like it's necessary. Um, like I'm not gonna be doing needle felting for. Oh yeah, I have seen the felting needle, um, with your like loose ends. I have seen that. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good idea. Yeah, this gives like a natural twist to it, so it does kind of have some like curvature and like dimension and stuff, but it's not like I'm just gonna try to like do some like different felting just to kind of give it some like different dimension and whatnot. So I don't mind the double letters. I have the shakes and often do double types. I hadn't seen that before, and now I don't mind the double letters. What do you mean? Um. So So yeah. Am I not seeing everybody? Is that what's going on? Because I legitimately have no idea what's happening. Um. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to stay up all night and all day. I mean, the Super Bowl is highly likely to put me to sleep, but who knows? So I'm just trying to figure out what's going to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay, I'm not. I just was confused. Okay. So, uh, the puppy bowl is on tomorrow. Yeah, that is cute. And so I think they have a cat bowl as well, a kitty bowl. Yep. Some people like to lurk, and that's cool. I do that all the time with people. I'm just like, nah, I don't know. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna kind of split it a little bit and see if I can like felt it into parts. I'm not a big sports fan. I've been trying to understand football more, and my wife is like really into sports. I mean, she likes sports, right? But like, there's some sports that we can watch together that I'm like super into. Like some aren't comfy talking. Um, so yeah. I mean, yeah, that's totally cool. Everyone's welcome. You know, just chill, hang out. You can talk. You can not talk. You know, as long as everyone's nice, we can all get along. So, you know, but if I'm like crafting, I don't often. I'll like lurk and I'll watch, but I won't say anything because I'm crocheting. My hands are full, so if they like say something that I need to respond to, I will. But if I gotta crochet, I gotta crochet. You know what I'm saying? So I split this into two parts, and I think it kind of adds like a little bit of like visual interest. I really wanted to focus on texture here. I do have a bunch of different like reds that I'm going to add in to these guts. So it's not just going to be intestines coming out. It's going to be all kinds of like cool, cool stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of start weaving in some of the stuff. Figure skating and gymnastics, but not really anything else. Yeah. I've never watched NASCAR. I've heard it'd be fun to like go to. I've heard it's fun to like go to the track and like watch it because like you have your headphones and you can like talk to people. Yeah, isn't it? And I just found it at the thrift store. It's awesome. I knew if there was one place in North Carolina where I could find this for a cheap price, it would be there. And I had never seen anything like it before there, so it was just I couldn't believe my luck. Um, could not believe it. Because I was gonna buy some unspun wool, and then I ended up finding this, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, yeah. And I thought it was unspun by just how it was in the package. It was just curled up in a hank. And then I got home and I looked at it. I did like you know, a yarn haul, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is this is awesome. I really like that this can be like a really artistic process for me where I can kind of have fun and it looks rough, yeah. Um, and have some fun with it. I also in that same trip I bought some. They have like unfinished projects there, and I bought one that had like a bunch of different shades of red in it, and I just undid it. I washed everything because I didn't feel comfortable like that was like very musty and it was like left out. And then I have some different like reds, but when you frog something that's been knit or crocheted for a long time, it can be very textured, have a lot of like natural dimension to it. This isn't nearly as curly as it was earlier before I washed it. This one it's like red ramen. It's gonna be so cool in there. Oh, I can't wait. I bought that one by itself though. That wasn't. Um, but yeah. So this is this is pretty fun. I like it. I don't know if I'll. I was thinking about doing some different colored ones for um, Pride, like having like the bones all be the same, but have like rainbow guts and trans guts and stuff. But honestly, it's such a time consuming process that I might do maybe a couple for Pride, but probably won't get super into it, because also sizing is a thing with it, and I just don't want to make sizes that you know, when I can make something that's, you know, universal. So yeah, very interesting. And honestly, like, the person just was like is kind of like letting me have free reign. Just gave me like the basics of what she wanted, and then just wanted something very like unique and artistic. And I was like, I got you. And this is a friend, so they kind of trust my vision generally, because they know I like the spooky stuff. Spooky, grotesque, you know, that kind of jam is my jam. So who knows? Maybe you will see this eventually on a book cover in a bookstore near you, or on Amazon, which is where I think everybody gets their books now, probably. Um, I am gonna take my crochet hook and try to combine this. Ouch, try to combine this in one spot where I feel like it kind of needs a little bit of love. Book's not a reader. No one's cost afford different. Yeah, I am a reader, but I mostly read stuff online. Like, honestly, I read a lot of fan fiction. Not gonna front. So that's just who I am right now. So I'm gonna do something perhaps a little blasphemous, but like I'm just gonna hope that it works in my favor. um, this is half of the hank. It, as you can see, it is frizzed up quite a bit, and it has. I tried to split it just to get like a look at it and figure out how I was gonna do things, and then my wife started talking to me, and like I can't multitask, can't do two things at once, so it just kind of has ended up being very frizzy. And at first I was like, I could just like twist it up like I tried to do with the rest of it, because the person wants to be able to hold their intestines on the book cover. Um, and I was like, yeah, we can do that. But like, so this is bigger than those tubes. So I was gonna cut, or I was gonna wind this in a, like, using something bigger, like a big box or something to wind around, and then split it. But now I'm just like, now that I know that this will felt, I'm just gonna cut it. And I'm not gonna need any judgment from anyone, okay? So you just gotta bear with me, okay? So so yeah, this sponge is this. So I am gonna what should I do? I'm just gonna cut into it, whatever. So yeah, I'm just crazy person. Okay, so this tickles my nose. I wonder if I'm allergic to this, because I don't usually use wool. And I was like, oh, maybe it's musty. No, I think I might actually be allergic to it. Oopsies. But you know, it happens. So I'm going to. Ugh, I'm so itchy. So yeah. So okay. Ugh. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to take a little smidgen of my yarn. Give it a little snip snip. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. And then I'm gonna felt this before I try to sew it onto the rib cage. By felt it, I mean just rub it, get it wet, and rub it together with my hands, like I have been doing. I mean, technically it's felting, right? It's just not like traditional felting. But this will give me more like length, so it'll be kind of cooler to look at. I mean, honestly, it looks kind of cool being all piecey like this, but I really need some of it to kind of hold together so it doesn't just fall apart. Failed a whopping once, and it was an accident. I didn't realize a new sweater was wool. Let's just say it felted and turned into my baby size sweater. Yes. Yeah, I don't usually use wool. I've used stuff that have like I've used a couple like wool blends. And I've never had a problem, but because I got this from a thrift store, I don't know what's in it. And so maybe I'm allergic to something in it. So very, very possible. Okay, so now that I have done that, I'm going to tie a little knot around it, double knot it. And then I'm going to felt all of this together. So that people just wash and wear, and so I just stay away from it. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but like I understand like you want the warmth. I mean, some people really like wool, but I don't know. I don't love it. I do have a wool project that I am planning on starting soon, where I'm going to be making. I want to make an amigurumi of my cat, and he is like his color is very hard to pin down. So I'm going to I got some like coppery colored cotton, and then I got some like mohair that is his exact color. It's crazy how good of a fit it is. Um, but yeah, like I took a picture with the mohair and on like on him. Yes, to use this as fur. He is a cream colored tabby, so in some pictures he looks very, very like nude cream colored, and other times he looks very orange. So it's really hard to fully capture his beautiful essence. So that's my goal, to one day make a little amigurumi of him. Okay. So now that's a cream tabby. Wow. Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, technically his adoption certificate has the word buff, So buff is just like another word for cream when it comes to tabby colors. But yeah, so you'll see both types of language when it comes to his coloring. He's beautiful. He's an angel. But he's also a Sour Patch Kid and a pain in the ass. But that's my cat. What are you gonna do? I would show you him because he's like sleeping right in the hallway, but I wonder if I can find that picture on it's making my nose itch so bad. I'm definitely probably allergic to this. So I was like, maybe it's something. Okay. I don't know. You're in Army of Weirdos, right? Let's see. And your name's Maureen, right? Am I correct? Oh wow, that sounds awesome. Can't wait to see that. Okay, I tagged you in the picture. I'd posted it before you joined, but that's what he looks like, and that's what the mohair looks like. It's like it blends in with his color, like identically. It's so crazy. I've never been allergic to a yarn before. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I bet, like, breathing in, like, the particles and then, like, because it's not really irritating my hands. I mean, I guess my hands were really sensitive when I went to touch that hook. Well, okay. We'll figure this out. It'll be done eventually. Yeah, he's a special boy. He's a little Garfield chunky monkey, but I love him. Can't help it. It's also potentially like the just like severe lack of sleep that I've had. It's contributing to my sensitivity, but we'll just blame the yarn. Okay, so let me just do a little snip snap. Snip, snip, snip. Okay, and then now we're going to felt this entire long piece, or attempt to. I have a gray Garfield in size 5, yeah. So my cat is big. He's I think 15 or 16 pounds, which is not small for a cat. I would have all the cats in the world if Mel let me. But he it's like the thing is like he like can curl up and look like extra chubby, but he like and he's not chubby, right? But like he's also not as big as his weight would indicate. He's also very long, very long boy. So so it doesn't help when he's like all curled up into a ball. You're like, oh, it's a big ass cat. But he's long and he's big boned. I am short and big boned, so I can partially relate. This is a fun project, but I really wish I wasn't having this reaction to this yarn. It sucks. Sorry to complain so much. This is a new experience for me. It's happening live on camera. I think the sponge is like pretty much dried out, so we're having 3 black cats. Love that. Often show as brown because they literally rust. No, I didn't. Tell me more about that. I want a black cat so bad. I have a black dog, but what's interesting is he's always had a white undercoat, but as he's gotten a little bit older, and he's not that old. I mean, he was 9 months. He was born in December of 2019. Yeah. Because we got him in March of 2020, height of the pandemic time. But he's a Labrador Shepherd mix, and so he's always had a white undercoat, which we attributed to the German Shepherd that he has. But as he's gotten older, his top coat, I guess, has thinned out a little bit, so he's just peeking through more and more white, even though he always had a white undercoat. He used to look like totally black. It's crazy. But I know that black cats have like lower adoption rates and stuff like that. So I've always wanted a black cat because I want to protect all the cats. And if all the cats except the black cats are getting adopted, then I guess that's just more black cats for me. Also, I love Halloween and spooky things, so of course I want a black cat. And I want to name him Salem because I grew up on Sabrina. They fade in the sun, but it's called rusting. Oh, that's cute. So yeah, so this is like not, because it was like so PC already, it's not as smooth, but I kind of like that because I feel like it adds just dimension to it. I'm gonna blame everything on like liking the look of like added dimension when really it's just like I'm lazy. Like my dog who is black, uh he looks like brindle almost in the sunlight. So maybe that's the same thing. Yeah, I just think it's superstitions get created in like the weirdest ways, and so yeah, but like like black cats like have a higher like reputation. Like people are just very superstitious, and I just don't think that a lot of people realize they're as superstitious as they are. But like I live in the Bible Belt of um of the U.S., so like black cats especially have like a harder time getting adopted here. But I've heard that they're just like this. The black cats matter too. Absolutely. We like to include all the kitties. Let's see. So we had a ginger cat that we named. When I grew up, we had an orange tabby named Bob, and then uh, we have had 2 tuxedo cats. My growing up. Um, but when my wife and I got together, she had never had a cat because her parent, well, mostly her dad's not really a cat person. They've always been like dog people, and so she never. I guess her and her roommates had a cat, so I guess she had a cat before. But yeah, growing up, she didn't have one. And so I'm like, we need all the cats, and she's like, I don't have money for all the cats, and I don't want more responsibility on me. That's fair. But I do want more cats. Did you hear me talking about you, Dylan? Did you hear me talking about you, Dylan? My baby. Yeah. I've had, like, I mean, the thing is, like, I just, like, I don't know, like, when people try to, like, profile, like, cats, I've never had any cats, like, fit any stereotype, um, of, like, what, like, that type of cat should be, so it's, like, I don't really know if, like, it's me or, like, if those cats just don't, you know, if the stereotypes are just weird, you know? Like, I had a friend who worked at a vet, and he was a vet tech for a while, and, you know, he was like, this one does fit. This one does fit. Because people are like, orange cats are the friendliest cats you'll meet. And, like, my cat can be very friendly, but he can also be, like, a huge dick, right? And, and most orange cats are male. Um, uh, he said those orange cats can either be, like, really cool or really fucking mean. And mine, when he's at the vet, he is very mean. He hates it. Yeah, I don't think I've gone except the maybe 6, uh, yeah, wait, no, it was about from 'cause I lived in a place where I didn't have a cat, but my roommate had a cat, so it's kinda like my cat. Although, like, I don't know. I don't know. That's harder to think about. Most of my life I've had a cat because I just love them. My mom loves pretty much all animals, but I'm really more of a cat person. We got a dog because I wanted and needed a service dog, but we got him at the beginning of the pandemic. And one thing about dogs is they really need to be socialized early with other dogs and with other people, otherwise they can develop kind of some behavioral issues. And, like, because the pandemic happened, we weren't really able to socialize him like we needed to. And so, even if he was able to be uh, a service dog at that point, he like he just couldn't because he didn't socialize with enough dogs. Like when we first took him to like good boy camp, which we call his training, he could be around dogs all the time just fine. And then, like, when we got him home and we tried to take him on walks, he was so insecure around, like, typically, like, male dogs who are his size or bigger. Um, and so he just can't be a service dog. And then the person who, like, you know, I know a lot of people I know the majority of people who use service dogs are there for like physical reasons, but there also are several dogs who are working for people with mental health issues. So I feel like this was really just an oversight on the yeah. I mean, it's like the thing is a service dog is different. You know, they like it's interesting because they work. They really do work. But the minute that they're, you know, like um, their lead comes off, like they can act like regular dogs. But generally, they're more chill dogs, even because like they know that they have to kind of like be ready at any point, and that makes a big difference. Um, uh, yeah, yeah, and like I know that they can be good for like bipolar people. But basically, like the the instructor who like was doing like the checkups and stuff was because like Mel could walk him just fine, but when I had to walk him, like first of all, like one time he pulled and tried to go get another dog and he broke my finger, and so like yeah, 3 to 4 year wait is very typical. Um, well, I mean, I think at least 2 is typical, but 4 years is definitely on the longer side. It depends on if you're going through like a charity that like will do it for free, because those are longer waits. But if you want to, they also said like it can like breeding really matters, and I've always been like I don't really want a bred dog, but like I do think that actually really matters. Yeah, I mean I looked at places in Canada, um, but you know you have to be prepared to spend quite a bit of money. So this is kind of cool looking. It's definitely very flat, and I can't keep it wet enough with the sponge that I have. I'm gonna go wet the sponge because it's not wet enough. Be right back. You doing? You want to eat leather? You gonna become rubber? No, I'm just kidding. I would never do that to you. That'd be too much. Um, but yeah. So, uh, but the dog trainer. This is much better. The dog trainer was like, well, the dog has anxiety, and because you have anxiety around the dog, and just in general, because that's what I fucking needed the service dog for. She was like, I just don't know if you're gonna be able to get past that with this dog. And I was like, well, great. I wish you would have told me that $10,000 ago. I think actually we'd only spent like 5 or 6 thousand, but that's still a lot of money that we didn't really have. Yeah, that probably would work. Um, I have one that is like a continuous spray for my hair, curly hair problems. I just had the sponge already because I thought you needed a sponge to do felting, and so I just got it wet. But I mean, it's doing a good job, but it just dried out, you know. I can't believe I've been doing this for an hour. Um, I'm gonna spin it like it was doing in the beginning, and then I'm trying to felt it so we get a little bit more of a round shape than a flat shape. So I never thought about the cost like that because yeah, they were mainly donating over. Well, no, so like just training is that much. Not necessarily getting a bred dog. So a dog that is bred, you like for service, typically their parents will have also have been service dogs or just had a really good like or any kind of working dog or their their parents have like a temperament that's known to be good for this kind of thing. So it is actually very expensive. And the thing about it is the people that need service dogs are typically the people who cannot afford service dogs. So you get on like a wait list for a charity and you're like, holy shit, this is so much. But now that we have this dog who's, you know, big and can't really um, can't really play well with others, you know, we have to kind of ride this one out until you know we can get another dog. Maybe we'll try again, but it's also like you don't want to get an older dog because you don't want to try to train an older dog because it's so much of an investment. You want to get as much of that dog's life with you, you know, together. But yeah, so it's a big long process. But I mean, I've heard from people who have service dogs, not just emotional support animals. So there's a huge difference between an emotional support animal and a service animal. Here is usually down out east near a charity, and then they have service dogs that aren't trained back east. Yeah, so it's like, so a service dog has to be trained and certified here in the States. They're different than emotional service animals, which do not have to be trained. There's no certification for them, and people try to pass them off as service animals often here because you don't have to pay for a service animal. In a lot of situations that you do have to pay, or you cannot have simply another animal. Um, so people try to say like, oh yeah, it's a service animal, and like no one can say that it's not, because like they like the only questions that they can ask you by the American Disabilities Act is what kind of dog it is, like what kind of disability is it. So for me, I would be like, it's a mental health disability dog, but like you can tell just by walking around, like the thing about a service dog is like they're either like eye on the prize, like focused on what they need to be focused on, or they have their head on a swivel because they're looking for potential threats for their owner. And like these dogs that are like just looking around, getting sidetracked, stuff like that, like those are not service animals. Typically, like a seeing eye dog typically will be kind of on a swivel because they want to make sure they see everything because their owner cannot. Um, Service are more like police dogs. So police dogs are actually just a whole different brand of working. They're working dogs for sure, but they are very specifically trained for certain things, to be able to smell certain things. Um, Service dogs are like so the thing is like service dogs for mental health can do different types of therapies on you. They can remind you to take your medicines. They can be trained to do basically like you know trained to remind you like to do all this stuff. Like a dog could like literally help me like force me to take a shower. That's what it could do. Like that's not an emotional support animal. An emotional support animal can lay on you and make you feel better, purr or something, but like it can't like make you like it's not in the business of like, oh yeah, remind it's time for daddy's medicine. You need to remind daddy to take his medicine. Yeah, cats cannot be service animals. Not in the States at least. I I think there's probably cats that are qualified enough, like have the temperament enough to be one, but it's so much easier to train a dog. Really, a cat has to just kind of be that kind of cat, whereas dogs can be trained typically better. But I do think there should be more opportunity. I think right now in the U.S., there is only two animals that can be service animals, and they are dogs and horses, mini horses. Yeah, but some cats you can train, and you can be like, they can be much more functional. But it's harder to train a cat for sure. No one's gonna argue that. Yeah, for sure. But it's like, are they willing to do it? Are they pissed off at you because you didn't give them your favorite treat? Stuff like that. But but yeah, dogs, and I think so. I think the horses are actually only mini horses. I don't know if there's like full size horses can be service animals, because like they're just it's not realistic to be like, I need a hotel room and I have a full size horse with me. But like I do know that equine therapy, like horse therapy, is like yeah. See, like that, like dogs can like sense, like some dogs are trained to sense a seizure before it comes on, and like I think cats can be very like in tune with that as well. But yeah, knowing like how to support you, I do think that animals can be very in tune with that. But like I would never do this because like what if I was wrong? But like I would never like call out someone for having like a fake service animal unless that dog was doing something that like was very clearly like a behavior that, I mean, like there's so many behaviors that like look wrong that I'm pretty sure they're fake. Um and just like faked, like someone basically just paid to get their dog trained and like now they're a service animal, or just have like a service animal like vest that they put on their dog. But but if a dog's like barking a lot and there's no reason for it, if the owner's like shh 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 shh, shh, you know, if they be quiet, and the dog just barks all the time, like that's likely. And sometimes the dogs are trained to bark because that's part of their thing. So like get someone's attention because someone's about to have like a thing. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I don't think it has to be an epileptic seizure if you have warning signs. I think that they can, they like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know the full mechanics of this, so I do apologize. I hope I'm not spreading information that is not correct. But but I think that they can like hear your heartbeat and I've not with no warning. Yeah, I feel like they can hear your heartbeat, and they can also smell certain like hormones that your body releases that might signify that you're about to have a seizure. So, I mean, if that is something like, because like I know a lot of people with epilepsy. Those are really the only people that I know that have seizures are people with epilepsy. So I'm going to say that because I don't know anyone who has non-epileptic seizures. But like a lot of them can't drive because they don't know if they're going to have a seizure and stuff like that. So like it's very important for them to know when they're having seizures. Um, and not that a dog could like make you like stop the car, because usually they do come on pretty quick, but they can like a dog that's trained for seizures can make sure that they like cushion, they can make sure they get under you and cushion your head so you don't hit your head falling or something like that. So it may be worth looking into. I'm definitely not the expert on physical illness dogs, but they can definitely be very um, be very great. There is hair all over my hands. Can you see that? Oh, it's all over my hands. Yeah. All I'm saying is they might be able to sense warning signs within your body if those are emitted, not admitted. Try to like smooth this down just a little bit. See if like some twisting and pulling does anything cool or good looking. Also, I'm really hoping that it kind of stays like this once it dries. That's kind of why I didn't want to get it too wet, because I'm afraid that I'd do all this work and then it would just dry like terribly. So just wet enough to felt. But who knows? I don't know a lot about uh, working dogs anymore. I used to know more, but I've forgotten a lot. Um, And yeah, my dog would just be there to be more of kind of like a care dog, where like they would help me remember to take my medicine, kind of help me if they see that I'm going into a bad spot. They would make sure that I was taking care of myself, taking my medicine, physically taking care of myself. Psychogenetic, non-epileptic seizures. Oh, okay, I did not know that. Oh, probably psychogenic, right? Not genetic. Sorry, I can't be, apparently. Yeah, I knew someone who did have epilepsy, but their seizures were not in their brain, they were in their stomach. Um, so, I mean, the body's wild in what it's capable of. It's a whole thing, though. Poobard. You and me both, just for different reasons. Don't worry about it. These are going into like two distinct, different kind of like dreads. I'm trying to like make sure that they bind a little bit better. For those of you who don't know, I used to make synthetic dreads in my cyber goth days. Um, as soon as I realized that that wasn't maybe the most politically correct thing to do, I stopped shortly after. But but yeah, I mean, and I never had the intention of, portraying myself as not my own race, but I just, and I know some people care more than others. But for me, I just, if there was any risk that I um, could be doing something that didn't feel good to other people, I just wanted to cut it off before it became a problem. So I still have I still have the dreads, but I do not wear them. I should donate them. They're really bad though, so I'm sure someone could clean them up, make them look better, but I have like a full rainbow set, which is 6 bags of hair. Oh my gosh, they're so heavy. I went to one rave and I wore them, and literally like within 5 minutes, I was so like angry and like in tears because of how bad the full weight of, and I made falls, right? I didn't crochet them in or like weave them in, and made falls, and they were so heavy that I just was like, get the fuck off me now. 6 bags of hair is a ton of hair if you're not used to wearing any other hair other than your own. So I think it's a lot of hair anyways, but I only needed one for every color. Functional neuropathic disorder, or conversion disorder, is the most complex one. Unfortunately, more complex than PTSD, as um yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I mean, the brain is such a sensitive organ. I mean, I know all the organs are pretty sensitive if you poke around on them too much, but the brain is so complex, and so much can go wrong with it, whether in development or just throughout living life, um, that it really can be quite a lot. So, so I understand how things like this can happen within the brain. You know, I have both chemical imbalances and just, you know, traumatic disorders, I suppose. So some mental health issues are neurological. Like I know I had bipolar, which is about brain chemicals. Like borderline personality disorder is not about brain chemicals, right? Um, but bipolar is. But you can also have you can have an environmental and um, uh, physical um, component to an episode, which I'm fully living in the chemically dependent moment of my episode, right? And so, but but trauma does change the structure in your brain. Um, I do know that my bipolar was quote unquote manageable until I got a concussion, until I had my TBI, and then it became much worse, and I became independent. But this seems to find a way of effing up the brain. Yeah. Little known fact about bipolar: it is actually degenerative if you have manic episodes, which you don't have to have manic episodes to be bipolar, just to be clear, but it actually changes the structure of your brain, where many portions of the brain, but specifically, most significantly, if you have manic episodes, in the structures that are in the brain implemented to focus on self-awareness. So if you look at someone who's bipolar and they are newly bipolar, newly diagnosed, new symptoms, all that stuff, their brain will look very different from someone who's had it 10, 15 years. I have been diagnosed for 17 years now, and and the part of the brain that is uh, in, in large part of the self-awareness aspect of your brain becomes significantly diminished. So there's actually structural changes in the brain. But there's, like I said, the brain is a very sensitive organ, and there are so many ways that it can be messed up, and um, so it's often. Oh my gosh, it's called a. It's I didn't put together that it was a penis. I'm sorry, that's not funny. I know you're dealing with a condition. It's a penis. I'm sorry. I am a 12-year-old boy at heart. Um, but yeah, so we're all just doing our best. We're all handed a very different set of cards in this life that we have to deal with, and some of us deal better um, with things than others. I always envy anyone who can have strong emotions without going to the hospital, because that's not really my life. But I'm glad that we, you know, can get good support systems. Yeah, see, my hardware is depleting. What happens is that and PTSD actually, I believe, does also chemically change the structure of your brain. But your hobby is, yeah, it's definitely a tough one. Yeah, and bipolar can manifest in so many different ways. So yeah, it's really interesting to read, to hear about. Let me try to find this video. So I found this a while ago, and you're you or your husband may like it, you may not like it. It's a long video, but it's called Solving Bipolar Disorder. I think it's just supposed to be like a name that kind of gets you to want to read it. But it's by a psychiatrist, and but they talk a lot about the science of bipolar disorder, structural changes. Me, my hubby, and my son are all on the spectrum too. Yeah, I don't have that one, but I know that is very difficult. So this is a very interesting video about bipolar disorder. Probably one of the more interesting videos I've ever seen on bipolar disorder, because they talk about different types of. Really, they mainly focus on lithium as a, like focusing on why so many doctors lean on that, because it actually can help protect your brain from the physical changes that it can experience due to bipolar disorder. Um, but but yeah, so but it also they also talk about, like, just different things. At the end, it gets very, very extra sciencey, and I couldn't watch it. It kind of hurt my brain. But that might be good for your husband or you to watch. Also, a book that I love and my wife loves is When Someone You Love Is Bipolar, which, oh gosh, man, I can't wait for these suckers to go. So I literally have it by me all the time because I quote it all the time. But it's by Cynthia G. Last, PhD. Yeah, I love science, but this was like too on the nose for me. But this is a great book for people who are bipolar and people who love bipolar. Love bipolar people. And can give you some language to talk about different types of emotions. So that's a good book, and really helped me, be able to communicate with my wife as things got worse, because they weren't always bad enough where I needed her to understand, like, the intricacies of bipolar, and now that they're bad enough where I need her to understand the intricacies of bipolar. This is a great book, and it was actually Cynthia G. Last is actually a bipolar person. So I really, I'd be happy to type it out if you wanted. That's one of my favorite bipolar books. I know there's other ones that are specifically geared towards certain aspects of bipolar. Let's see. But those are my favorite. Let's see. There's also Bipolar Muse, which is good for people who are creative and get manic or hypomanic. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the more obscure the illness is, the I don't know if it's that obscure, but I just think that bipolar has definitely been something that they've tried to understand for so long, because bipolar people tend to be in, end up in long-term care and stuff like that. And yeah, so yeah, so let me type that out. Bipolar Muse. And then there's another bipolar book that I know I have literally in my living room right now. But I cannot remember the name of it, which is bugging me. So I'm just gonna look on Amazon to find a bipolar book. I think it's more for you than other people. The Unquiet Mind, An Unquiet Mind. So Bipolar Muse and An Unquiet Mind were both recommended when I took, like, Psych 101. If people wanted to know more about bipolar, I didn't, like, out myself as someone who's bipolar. It wasn't abnormal psych. Um, but yeah, we just did like a brief discussion on like different mental illnesses, and the teacher was like, for this one, here's a couple book recommendations. For this one, here's a couple book recommendations. So those last two were book recommendations for from my teacher. I loved Psych 101, and I would have taken more psych classes, but I just didn't need any more classes, so I was like, okay. Actually, this is one of those things that various specialists in the world is more well known is only diagnosed by a neurologist, not a psych. Yeah, that makes sense, right? I think it makes sense. So is that the one? Well, actually, no. I think that they thought that Van Gogh had epilepsy, right? But they said it was like he was like hallucinating and he would have seizures, but he also like viewed the world differently. But I do believe he had epilepsy. So I was like, is that the one Van Gogh? They thought Van Gogh had, but I don't think so. Because I did a lot of research on Van Gogh. Because I read this one story that had talked about like how some people had thought he was bipolar due to his behaviors, but there was like I guess like the prevailing theory is maybe that he had epilepsy, which is why he like literally viewed the world in a different way. And but it like also causes you to hallucinate. Conversion disorder. Okay, that was old name. Yeah, I don't know if he ever got diagnosed with anything. It's all been like post hum. Let's see. I don't know that word, but I know I've been diagnosed before I died. Although, if I get famous and I die, they might change it. Who knows? They probably won't change it. They'll be like, that diagnosis fits you like a glove. You crazy dude. Not that those things are synonymous, but I fully think that you can be bipolar and not crazy, but I happen to know that I am bipolar and crazy. So what are you gonna do? Okay, so I spent an hour and a half getting my hands very hairy, and let's see how this looks on. Again, this is always challenging to get on because the back tends to kind of curl up. Okay, don't mind the white strings, and then make sure that these are flipped the right way. Okay. Oh my gosh, my back. Yeah, people have been like, was he schizophrenic? Was he... So it's going to fit different on my commissioner because I split it in two at the end because they just weren't looking right. And I was like, why not have these like this? So she wants to be able to like hold her organs in her hand. So I think this will be like a cool way to do it. Just like have them kind of be like that. Or she can shorten them up. Or she can... Good enough for me. Okay. Ugh. Oh, I'm so itchy. I don't think I'm gonna take a shower tonight, but like, I have to now. I am itchy as a motherfucker. Okay. So, if you didn't see the other yarn that I'm using, I know it's a little bit of it, but I have a couple different options. So, one of them is, this is from Premier Yarns. This is from the dollar store. This is a Premier Plush yarn. I don't quite know if it has like the vibe, but I got it. I got it out of my stash just in case. I just pulled some things out of my stash that had interesting texture. This is also a Premier Yarns yarn. I forget what it's called, but they only had it around for like Valentine's Day time, like a couple years ago, and I bought a bunch because I was like, maybe this will be cool. But I don't know if it is cool, but I feel like it looks like it might do something, right? And then these were all curled up, and I thought they'd be cool. But then when I washed them, they were no longer coiled up. So I guess I straightened out that yarn. And then I've got some other different yarns. Here's a velvet yarn. Bunch of different reds, and this is gonna be so good. Looks like red ramen, and I'm into it. And then I have some embroidery floss that's going to be for more like veins and blood vessels into the organs and things like that. So I'm excited. Stuff we bring in gets literally converted to something that it shouldn't be. Like seeing a baby and ending up with back pain, watching a fight and getting happy instead of upset. Oh wow, yeah, that's really interesting. It must be very hard to deal with. Yeah, so maybe you should watch this and see if see what you think. I know you don't have epilepsy, so it's different, but I would be curious to see what you thought of it as someone who knows more about epilepsy than I do, which isn't hard because, I know practically nothing. And this conversion. But like also a lot of his behaviors to me look really bipolar, but I think that's not the prevailing theory anymore. It's hard because when someone's dead, you can only guess, right? Okay, so just in case you want to watch it, if you're curious about other people and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's a theory that he indeed had some kind of other disorder other than the ones that most people think of when they think of him. I feel like I should take a shower before I touch anything else. Otherwise, I'm just going to be like itchy and irritable and very upset. So I'm going to let you go, but I'm probably going to be up. It's already 5 in the morning, so who cares? But yeah, so I will talk to you later. And yeah, you like talking. Yeah, so yeah. Let me know what you think. I'm very intrigued. You can always, if you don't catch me on live, you can always talk to me on Army of Weirdos. That's typically where I talk about stuff. So yeah, so let me know what you think, and I hope you have a great night or morning, whatever it is for you. And I'll talk to you later.